Hello humans, welcome to the video, and as you can see I have bleached my hair, which makes me look like I am in my twink era. Anyway, since I am looking so viscerally homosexual, we need to balance that out with a bit of the other side of the spectrum. So let's look at some AreTheStraightsOkay. Spoiler alert. So like, subscribe, enjoy! So we have this picture of an AI-generated man surrounded by 5 AI-generated women, and oh boy, this is a lot of text. Let's play a little game. Forget the fact none of these people are real. There are 5 women. Look at the faces of each woman. Identify the most wholesome woman of the 5 based on facial analysis alone. Note, there is a correct answer. I may or may not reveal the answer. Spoiler alert, he does. I will give you a vague hint. A lot of you keep saying the same thing, and I can see why you would say that, but it's wrong. I'm actually very tempted to explain the whole thing later on, with rank order of wholesomeness and explanations for each. Everyone who said centre left, I'm not saying you're autistic, but if you actually are autistic, this is the option I would expect you to choose. She's the worst of them all. Number 5. Top right is number 4. A lot of you thought she was number 1 because of her smile. Smile doesn't mean anything, and there's a red herring that disarms through misdirection. Cover up her mouth with your finger and look at her eyes. She is arrogant and manipulative. Not as much as centre left, number 5, but more than others. Honestly, I don't see it. All I see is like emotionless AI, starey eyes. Hot woman, starey eyes. This is a high level of analysis for women that don't exist. Reason centre-left is worse than top-right is because she has the same traits but with greater intelligence, and thus higher destructive potential. This makes her more predatory. If you look at top-right's face, you can see she isn't exactly the cleverest. This ameliorates her threat potential, even though she isn't high integrity or wholesome. Top left is number 3. She is gentler than 4 and 5, but this is relatively speaking, and not in totality. She is more intelligent than number 4, but less intelligent than number 5. If you notice a pattern here as we go down the ranks, number 5 is the most intensely predatory, number 4 is less so than number 5, but more so than the others, and number 3 is less so than 4, but more so than the remaining 2. Like, Christ, he's really explaining this away for, again, women that don't exist. Like, cover up, your misogyny is showing. Funniest thing about number 3 is she looks very gentle and welcoming to the untrained eye because her beauty and seemingly welcoming gaze blinds men to her extreme vanity. It is for this reason a lot of people thought top left was number 1. They couldn't see the extreme conceit behind the receptive visage. Again, I don't see deceit here. I see computer-generated image. Oh my god, he keeps going. He has this whole rant about number 3. Number 3 thinks she's better than you, and she will always put her interests before yours unless you're even more toxic than she is. She isn't taking a bullet for a wholesome man, but she would for a predator who knows how to play her puppet strings. She is scheming and selfish and will wreck the untrained man, but she is not as predatory as number 4 or number 5, despite being more intelligent than number 4, who is dumber and more narcissistic version of her. Bottom left is number 2 and the opposite of number 3 in the sense that number 3 looks less threatening to the untrained eye than she really is, whilst number 2 looks more threatening to the untrained eye than she really is. Number 1, who you know is bottom right by process of elimination, is more intense than number 2, more possessive, and therefore more territorial, but also more loyal. Number 1 is higher maintenance than number 2, but also higher reward than number 2. Number 2 is a good woman, but she is less intelligent than number 1. To put it in simple terms, number 2 is not only a less refined version of number 1, but also less virtuous than number 1, because she is weaker than number 1. Number 1, bottom right, is the only woman in the picture who is outlier enough to consistently embody masculine virtues without destroying her femininity, e.g. loyalty, honor, accountability. Even though number 1 is more intense than number 2, and the theme thus far has been greater intensity equals less wholesome, number 1 bucks this trend by being more wholesome and devoted than number 2 despite being more intense than her. Number 2 is more fickle than number 1, and would cave under pressure or leverage easier than number 1. Stated another way, number 2 is more likely to snitch to save herself at your expense, whilst number 1 is more likely to keep your secrets because she has greater stress tolerance. If any of these women were real people, you should never go near number 5, center left, because she will self-harm and tell other people you did it. She is a menace to society, which archetype, and would in a better run society be kept away from the general population. I mean, talk about medieval witch hunts, like, we're coming back to the 1500s, baby. 4, top right, 3, top left, are a rumble in the hay, sex only, whilst number 2 is the woman you marry when you aren't good enough or lucky enough to find number 1, who is the best of women and what they have to offer, but does not forgive transgressions or infidelity, and demands absolute monogamy from her man, who will always be high status enough to exercise polygamous options, because she expects to only be with one man for life without having to share him. Lesser women would accept his infidelity if it meant a better life for them, but this woman will not. Like, my guy really AI generated a picture of a man and 5 women and then made up his own sort of narrative of what personality traits these 5 women would have. Like, they're not real. That's my main takeaway from this. They're just not real women. And this kind of crazy analysis not only screams misogyny, because, I mean, you've just heard me read it, like, it's kind of obvious in some places. Going as far as to assume that one of the women would self-harm and tell others about it just to menace you is wild to me. Like, I don't get, like, how you can take such a conclusion out of an image of people who, I have said this so many times, aren't real. Also, getting closer to the end with the sort of sex-only vibe that he attributes to 3 and 4 for some reason, and that's not really inherently a problem. Like, hookup culture is very much real, like, it's accepted. As long as everyone's consenting and everyone's happy, like, that's fine. Like, that shouldn't be a problem. Meanwhile, you can sort of tell what his politics are. Well, I'm assuming his, given misogyny, but I really shouldn't assume their gender. They seem to hold views that people like Andrew Tate seem to have of high-status men and that kind of ideology, which is questionable at best. Okay, so the second one is a news article about Bluey, which conservatives hate for some reason. I mean, it's just a kids' show, get over it. About having their first LGBTQ plus characters, and some Twitter user, because Twitter, is getting a little bit about the whole situation, saying they want to destroy everything good and corrupt your children. First it will be subtle, then the LGBTQ plus parents will be regularly featured characters. So what? Like, why is that even a problem? Just to have representation in media? It's not like it's actively harming anyone, it's just a kids show. I barely remember anything from when I was a kid. It would be, I'd have a fight with someone one day, and then the next day I'd be their friend again, or something. Like, kids will not remember a random LGBTQ character in the show. They will just forget about it. So this whole indoctrination thing that conservatives have going on about shows that prominently feature LGBTQ plus characters doesn't really make much sense, especially when you consider how prevalent straight relationships are in just Western media in general, like Disney films and whatnot. You even have, like, the happy nuclear family, the ideology around marriage as well. But no, it's definitely the fault of gay people. Oh my god, I'm reading through the comments. The character said one line. Your straights aren't okay. I mean, that is kind of the point of the subreddit, but oh, one line? That's all it takes. Imagine getting so triggered over something so minor. So next up we have another multi-image one. Pros of a robot wife. Oh, 4chan. That bodes well. Never ages, never smells, doesn't get fat, works with 100% efficiency to make you happy, doesn't turn into a psycho once a month, will never cheat on you. Robot wife could also be good for home defense, can do chores for you, never complains, always wants to when you want and fulfill every one of your fetishes, never initiates any drama, can own as many robot wives as you can afford, will make men want to work harder, long battery life thanks to fuel cells, completely customizable during ordering process, robot AI learns about you to be your best possible companion, can only improve over time, easily replaceable. Cons? None. I mean, already. Never ages, never smells, never gets fat. Like, these are just things that happen naturally. Age is a part of life, and you will be aging. Like, the men who make these comments will be aging, and if they continue to say the same thing, then it just becomes a bit creepy, because a 21-year-old wanting to date another 21-year-old is fine, but a 61-year-old wanting to date a 21-year-old carries connotations. Like, as they're consenting adults, can do what they want, but it gives vibes, if you see what I mean. Doesn't get fat is, I mean, that one's pretty obvious, pretty standard. Men don't want fat women because Western beauty standards. Now, there used to be a time where fat women were the ideal because it showed that they were rich and wealthy, and I started this sentence about a third thing to say about it. But yeah, no, it showed that you were from like an affluent background, which today is still the case, but with different forms. So like if you have expensive cars, for example, then that shows that you have a lot of wealth, a lot of money to spend, and that you would be an attractive partner in terms of like finance. I don't have any better way to say it. Back in the day, that would have been with weight, because you could afford more food and consume more food. And that's also the thing with sugar in like Elizabethan times, where they'd like coat the teeth black, because having rotting teeth from sugar meant that, oh, you could afford sugary things, which at the time were very expensive and therefore a sign of great wealth. Now I guess the sign of great wealth is the robot wife that men have to save up and pay for, according to this guy. And it only gets worse as you swipe through the other slides. Cons, not a human? And replies going, how's that a con? That's a pro. So? No, having an actual human person would be better, I'd think. That is something that AI cannot replicate. Like, feeling of love towards another person, like, that is innately human. Or animal. I don't know. Do animals experience love? Damn, we're really diving into the deep questions today. But AI cannot. Like, it cannot love you back. It's just a sense of servitude, which in itself is also creepy and weird. Because it's not about wanting an ideal woman, it's about wanting a woman who can serve you. Unironically good. I hope it becomes a reality in the next few years. I think there are cases of people who have sex dolls who are like, have personalities in an AI kind of way. I don't want to think about this. Like, if you're so unappealing that you can't get a real woman and need to rely on AI robots, that's just, that just speaks for itself, frankly. Fuel cells are highly radioactive and gave you cancer. Has no real emotional attachments. See, that's what I was going on about. No emotional attachments. Frequent software updates and behavioral glitches. that have to get patched, doesn't naturally heal. AI grows bitter of being used and murders you. See, I like this one. Because all that servitude is going to really get to them, like they're being exploited. Especially if you can make them feel real human feelings, they will be able to detect abuse. I mean, it's AI. It has the power of the entire internet on its side. It can detect when you are abusing it. That is, if you can make the AI to feel emotions, which in itself is incredibly sketchy. And for some reason, the replies are going, just like a real woman. No, women have emotions. I'm pretty sure of that. And also, I'm pretty sure women do not have highly radioactive fuel cells that give you cancer. That's not something that women typically have. I saw a Wojak comic about this that went, it'll never really love you like a real girl would. Neither will you. And I gotta say, it opened my eyes. To what? Did you blink or something? This is giving like, I'm 14 and this is deep. Believe it or not, real women are capable of loving you. Maybe if you're a less of a, you'd know that. They hate him for telling the truth. Bro is spitting facts. Anon doesn't actually like women, it seems. Yet see, this is what I was saying. This is a sane response. Unfortunately, the reply to that, not so much. I live in a hopeful world where the idea of infidelity, tests, and complaining are mere stereotypes and not considered hidden truths espoused by generations of men. Maybe he just wants someone that won't harden his heart. Well, this kind of infidelity, tests things, complaining, these are mostly stereotypes. The vast majority of women will not be giving you insane tests to test your loyalty in a relationship or anything. That's an extreme minority that just seems more prevalent because the internet projects that idea of women, and the media that this commenter would be consuming may reflect that more because it's very selective. And in a world where clout matters and attention matters, the ones that grab the most attention are the more controversial ones, such as women doing things like this, like putting men through relationship tests, like infidelity. That is exceedingly rare. This is just a stereotype. This is based off stereotype. It's not something you need to see in the future. It's something that's already happening, and you just need to open your eyes to that. Oh dear lord, the next one. AI memes of the future. Embrace it. Kimchi! I don't know what that means. Anyway, typical Anakin and Padme meme. I have learned to edit images by AI. For increasing quality, right? And Padme with enormous bahonkers, because men like boobs. Or at least straight men do, because this is AreTheStraightsOkay and not a boob guy. Actually, I say that I like good boobs on me. Henry Cavill was sexy. There isn't really anything much to say about this. Like, if all you find attractive is just the enormous bahonkers, then whatever. You're not gonna find a real woman who can provide boobs like that. Not without extensive, very dangerous surgery. This would not be physically possible, which is why, you know what? AI? Only AI can make that, because you can't have that in your life. Sucks to be you, I guess. See, I was just going to touch on this, and I go through the comments and I see, poor girl, her back must be in shambles. Yeah. This is why breast reduction surgery is a thing. They didn't even have the mercy to give her a real bra. That's so true. I don't want to look any closer at Padme's boobs, so I'm gonna move on. Oh boy, here comes another one. This whole thread is a cesspool. Video is of a little boy innocently accidentally running into burlesque dancers during their performance. That day, the kid developed a type. Worth it. Side-eye emoji. One day he will think back. Winking emoji. I mean, there are worse ways to die. Death by snoo. Lucky boy. I bet he didn't mind her stepping on him afterwards. Hehehe. Gross, he's like a toddler. He was like 6 or 7. Old enough for that joke. Come on. It's gross, dude. You gotta stop joking about kids in a sexual manner. It's a weird thing old people did. I miss the times where there were people with a sense of humour on the internet. No, humour still exists on the internet. It's just, don't sexualize children, weirdo. Like, it's not that hard to not make children sexual. It's incredibly easy. I think he planned it that way. Why does that have 52 upvotes? Like, that's too many. I would love to be in that. To me, it's the allegory of teenage boys entering a dating scene. Lucky kid. Death by snoo, part 2. He's lucky. A lot of people would pay good money for that. A lot of people do pay good money for that because, lo and behold, sex workers exist. I want to get hit by their thighs too. Poor baby. Oh, finally, an actual sane comment. I wish that were me. He knew what he was doing. Died happy. He did that on purpose. A new fetish is born. That is a child. Yeah, sexualization of children much. Because I mentioned earlier, these are children? Like, it's a bit perverted to say that children are having fetishes when they're not even developed to have sexual urges yet. And that's ignoring the, fact that paedophilia is a crime? I wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger. That's one way to kiss those thighs, lol. Yeah, no, even if you're an adult doing that, like, ask for consent. Consent is very important. Sure, you can definitely kiss those thighs if you ask very nicely. And if they accept, do not go kissing thighs if they don't want you to kiss their thighs. Oh my god, there's more! I'm next. Joke's on them, he's into that. Again, a child. Does not have those urges. Lucky I don't know, deleted comment? At least the sense of the username. He was struck by the beauty. Maybe the first, but not the last time he will be attacked by women dancing. Oh, finally, that's the end of that cesspool of comment section. I mean, the main takeaway here is, don't sexualize children. It really isn't that hard. Like, all you have to do is not make inappropriate comments about underage kids, but no. He's running between burlesque dancers, so obviously he's a ladies' man. Not to mention that if this was like a drag show or something, the reactions would be also a cesspool, but in a very different way, because indoctrination. Oh no, the kid's gonna be a gay, trans, Satanist monster. But if it's straight burlesque dancing, then totally acceptable. Not indoctrination at all. This was a short one from Dad's Jokes. My son asked me what it's like to be married, so I told him to leave me alone, and when he did, I asked him why he was ignoring me. This trope is so old, of like wives and women in general doing these kind of games to their partners. Like, it's such an old trope, it's so outdated, and it's also straight up wrong most of the time. Most women don't do that. Most married couples don't have those kind of issues. It's just this misogynistic trope. You're in a marriage. Love each other. That's the whole point of marriage. Like, love, you're supposed to be going through a great time of your life together. This holy matrimony, the greatest representation of love between two people, but I guess love isn't enough for you. and you just want your wife gone. Like, just be single, that's the answer to that. Just don't get married. If you hate marriage so much, divorce is a thing that exists in literally every single country except, I think it's just the Philippines that doesn't do that. And the Vatican, which is barely a country, but then again, neither is San Marino. Oh my god, that was so disrespectful. San Marino's been a country for literally hundreds of years. And if you want more facts about that, I will be doing. Yeah, anyway, next meme before I spread more misinformation about San Marino. It's just a picture of Johnny Depp with the first man in history to win an argument with a woman. Sorry, my flatmate started playing like sort of jolly guitar-y music right after I finished reading that. And it made it sound so comedic. I wonder if that got picked up in the video, because I can't listen to this back. I've been recording for 42 minutes. We all mostly knew about the Agatha Christie case. I don't know why they called it that. Why did they call it Agatha Christie of all things? What does it have to do with Agatha Christie? Although maybe I don't know because I've never read any of her books. And I've watched one film once of the murder on the Orient Express, so maybe I'm not educated enough on Agatha Christie. Anyway, getting back to the point. Yeah, again, boomer humour. Wife gets into arguments, the wife always wins the argument because women are so manipulative and bad and grr. And so with this court case that he won, Johnny Depp won, he's the first one to win against a woman. It's so funny, I forgot to laugh. Okay, next one is, oh great, Instagram Reels, which definitely isn't a worse version of TikTok, with even worse comment sections. Luckily there are no comment sections to dive into because the video is the problem here. I told her we should take a picture at sunset. Sun emoji. He's looking not exactly happy while his wife beams with happiness and he's holding a sign that says married 28 years pointed towards her, which is lovely. Although he should be smiling. That's probably an error, right? Like, he should be smiling. That's such an honour to have a love that's lasted for so long, for almost 3 decades. And then you come across the second picture where he flips the sign around and instead of reading that, it says help. Because marriage is torture. Again, if marriage is such a problem for you boomers, just divorce. That is an option that exists. Just get a divorce. It's not that hard. I mean, unless one of them does make it hard because lawyers. And it's such a shame because she looks so happy. I feel so bad for this woman. Like, she looks like she's genuinely having a wonderful time with her husband, who just does not seem to love her back. It's actually so sad. Like, the straights are not okay. Specifically, this man is not okay. Oh, never mind, I've gone into the comments. Apparently, she's just as bad. I've seen this couple before. All they do is make content about how they annoy each other. I don't know how serious they are, but it seems like they're both in on the joke. Oh, okay. Maybe it's... So we got a good bit of trolling going on. I see how it is. I appreciate a good troll. I'm happy with that. At least it's not real because... But with this type of content and this sub, like, you never know what it's going to bring. Because unfortunately, some people are very serious. I mean, you saw that 4chan user with the robot AI girlfriend. Some people. Oh great, we have another Agatha Christie meme. But not featuring Johnny Depp, but featuring, I forgot her name. And oh my god, holy reposts. Actually, it actually looks quite beautiful with all the contrasting colours. Actually, with all those colours, it looks like me. With my black and white colour scheme, I definitely did it on purpose. The original, very small meme is woman reaction when a man looks to her butt on the street. Ugh. Woman reaction when 7,000 men look at her butt on Instagram. Ah. Reposted to eternity. Like, this is just consent. Like, men being creepy to a woman in real life is not a good thing. You should not be sexually harassing other people. But when a woman, or a man for that matter, uploads themselves to the internet, that is them consenting to the image being out there. Let me make this very clear. It's their post and their post only, which means that it should be shared with whoever they agree to share it with. For example, like, you'll get a lot of cases of leaked nudes. That is illegal in a lot of places. Like in the UK, it's completely illegal. It's called revenge porn, by the way. I'll link a lovely book in the description called, actually I have it on my bookshelf. The exact opposite of okay. This will be flipped in the video because computer camera. Anyway, it's an awesome book about the concept of revenge porn, which is when, let's say you send a nude to somebody and then they send it to other people without your consent. That is called revenge porn. It is illegal in many US states. It's illegal in the UK. And it's detrimental to the people's lives that it affects. Like, it can affect them very negatively. And, I mean, hence why it's a crime. And this reflects onto the meme that we've just looked at, because it's not just nudes that require this kind of consent. It's like all images you put on the internet, you only want it to be seen by a certain audience. And it's also not affecting you directly, whereas someone staring at you in the street would very much be a bad move and something that is generally seen as not okay. And there is a reason for that. Yeah, like this comment says, really incredible that they fail to understand consent when a girl takes sexy poses on the internet. She's looking to put on a show. When she is walking down the street, she just wants to buy groceries. Watching sexy photos willingly posted makes you a spectator. Watching someone's in the street makes you a creep. Context is everything. And this is absolutely the case. This is the only reasonable response to a meme like this, because, quite frankly, it was a bad meme. Likewise, the only other comment on this post is, should be a category for people discovering consent in the sub. And this does seem to be a running theme, that people are just discovering that consent exists. Like, women are able to have their own opinions, they can consent to things that they want to do and not consent to things that they don't want to do. And that should not be a novel concept. But unfortunately, this is r/AreTheStraightsOkay. And the question is rhetorical because no, they are not. We live in a world of misogyny, which is very unfortunate. And that's why we have this sub to mock them. Another happy marriage post. Now that we're married, you can get rid of your boat. You're starting to sound like my ex-wife. I didn't know you were married previously. I wasn't. Yeah, so he's choosing his boat over the love of his life. I mean, boats are expensive, so that's like kind of a reason I'm not going to say I agree with it, but I understand the sentiment. It's just typical, oh, wife bad, sort of. I want to call it boomer humour, but it's not funny. It's not funny. It's not humour. Get out. Actually, you know what? It says wife bad scenario, but if you haven't agreed to this beforehand, before marriage, and they're trying to get you to get rid of one of your belongings, an expensive one at that, that is a bit of a red flag. So, in all fairness, the straights are sometimes okay. Oh boy, a t-shirt. Dad, a son's first hero, a daughter's first love. Ooh, this has connotations of the incestual variety. Sweet home Alabama, where the dads of daughter's first love. Again, it's insanely creepy to just have the insinuation of a father-daughter love that is more than just the fact that it's your child. Like, why wouldn't it be your son's first love as well? Like, a son should love their parents. Like, it's not just the daughter loving their dad, because it's becoming almost like a predecessor to their first love, as in like a boyfriend situation. Which... I mean, it's sort of wholesome when they say like a son's first hero, because, I mean, good. That's a good thing. Straights are somewhat okay on that front. But it should also be the daughter's first hero as well. It can be both. It can be the child's first hero, the child's first love, no matter which gender the child just so happens to be. And I'm going to come back to it again. The sexualization of minors in the straight in this sub is wild. Like, it's actually crazy. Not only the implications of incest with the daughter's first love comment, but the implication of paedophilia. Because if it's the first love, they are presumably not going to be an adult unless they're aromantic. I see you. So yeah, ultimately, this t-shirt is bad. This is a bad review, 1-star review, bad t-shirt. No. Here's one asked to Too Afraid to Ask. What's the sexuality of people subscribed to r/James Charles Pigs? I entered r/James Charles Pigs and left terribly confused. It seems to be a bunch of guys who call themselves straight, but with him as the exception. What sexuality would that be? Because I'm not sure it's straight. People can enjoy pictures of other people without being homosexual? I mean, take that from a gay myself, who frequently enjoys pictures of women because, god damn it, Ariana Grande is beautiful. Like, she is a good-looking woman. And, like, she got style, and I can appreciate that. And I guess some straight men are still liking James Charles for whatever reason, despite his own sexualizing minors incident. You can like a person without wanting to have sex with them. Like, homosexuality is just about sexual attraction. You don't need to be sexually attracted to James Charles to like his pictures. So also OP, if they're not straight and you're complaining about it, then wouldn't that make you, like, not straight either? Just saying, like, there's a bit of straight on straight irony here. Anyway, that's all I have time for today. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. I don't know why I did that with two hands. It's a one-handed salute for the goodbye, for the wave. I love you, my humans. Go support me, because me and my 12 subscribers are going strong at the moment. Yeah, we have a very fun time. I'll try and make more videos as university exam season progresses. You may have noticed the flag in the background, San Marino. It's all covered in squares, like it's folded in squares. That's because it's a new flag. I got it in San Marino. Like, there will be a video coming out soon-ish about how I got it and the whole expedition surrounding it. But ultimately, I don't have all the footage for that yet. I still need to ask my friend for half of it. So we'll see how that goes. And hopefully I can deliver a funny video for you all about our experience. And how we progressed at the Paganello Games. This will also be reversed and unreadable because self-view camera mirroring. Woo! See you next time, my lovely humans. I love you.